you, everyone. Thank you for coming today. Good afternoon. My name is Barry Lorian, and I serve as the Highway Director for MassDOT Highway Division District 3. I'm excited to be joined here today by Lieutenant Governor Polito, MassDOT Highway Administrator Gulliver, and elected officials from the towns of Acton, Carlisle, and Westford, including Senator Eldridge, Senator Barrett, and Rep. Corey Atkins, as well as many members of the Friends of the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail Organization, residents. I'll say that again then, Friends of the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail Organization. Residents and neighbors, as well as members of the Freeman family. Thank you for coming, everyone. This event provides an opportunity to celebrate the recent completion of the $10 million Bruce Freeman Rail Trail Phase 2A project, which constructed 5 miles of paved multi-use trail through Westford, Carlisle, and Acton. MassDOT Highway Division District 3 managed the construction on the project, and we are very pleased that the trail is now open in time for the spring and summer months so everyone can enjoy bicycling, running, and walking. We've got a good lineup of speakers today. Getting started, it is my great honor to introduce to you the Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to say a few words and help celebrate this accomplishment, Lieutenant Governor Polito.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Who wouldn't want to be here at this moment today? This is wonderful. I do want to first out acknowledge the Bruce Freeman family. Thank you so much for all being here. This is a beautiful day for your family. The representative would be so proud of all of us today. So to the Freeman family, thank you for being here today. It's really special, very, very special. I served in the House of Representatives for 10 years, so I remember the advocacy that you, as a legislature, you bring to the table, and he got this started. And today is a glorious day, and it's a day to really celebrate the commitment that Bruce and others following him, local officials, community officials, cyclists, and beyond have made to make sure that this would happen. This is a 5-mile segment that eventually will connect 25 miles from Framingham to Lowell. That's pretty significant. I saw a number of cyclists on the ride here, and they're obviously getting ready for maybe the Pan Mass Challenge. I saw some of the shirts that they had on, but they certainly would be much more comfortable perhaps on a trail like this, and we endeavor to make these linkages more available throughout the Commonwealth. Our administration has made this a priority. I have been able to visit all 351 of our cities and towns in this Commonwealth. And one of the things that we're doing is to build stronger communities, great schools, strong economy, and a good, healthy quality of life for the residents all throughout our Commonwealth. Having the ability to expand our rails and trail program and expand trails in our communities is part of what makes a community strong. And we felt very committed to elevating this as a priority in our administration and created what we call an intra-agency trails team. And that means that staff from MassDOT, the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, and DCR all work together. So across agencies, specific people in charge of making sure that we stay on task to improve the trails throughout our Commonwealth, which means linking up more trails so that there would be longer consecutive routes for people to enjoy in their communities and across this Commonwealth. So there's a team, there's a plan, and there are resources and investment. And MassDOT's 5-year capital plan sets aside $160 million for multi-use pathways, as well as $60 million for high-priority projects through the statewide pedestrian and bicycle plans that are currently being completed. Additionally, putting our money where our mouth is, we have an environmental bond that is now before the legislature and includes $225 million in trails funding. So, working in partnership with our legislative colleagues, and you have a very active delegation, we endeavor to see these funds approved by the legislature so that we can devote them to expanding this network of trails throughout our great Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I understand that Representative Freeman was an avid outdoorsman and biker, and I know that he would be really thrilled to know that this is happening today. So to have the family here to mark this moment is very special. This is a beautiful asset here in our Commonwealth, and I know that this is locally supported. What I love about coming together today is that this is really a partnership. You have a family, you have nonprofit, in the Friends of the Family, you have local officials, state officials, agencies all working together. It's true partnership, and there's real power when partners work together and there's collaboration to make these things happen. I am very pleased to be able to make this announcement today and to see that this is a priority for all of us. May the sun continue to shine like this for many days ahead of us. We certainly deserve it after this winter. But congratulations to all of you. I wish you continued success, and you have our commitment from the Baker-Polito administration to see more announcements like this in the weeks ahead. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Governor. Before our next speaker, I would just like to quickly point out some of the people who made this project possible. As many of us know, the trail itself was envisioned back in the 1980s, but construction of this segment began in 2015. Here we are 2.5 years later, celebrating the opening of this section of the trail. I'd like to acknowledge our design team, GPI, the construction contractor of record, SPS New England, and MassDOT engineers David Baker and Patrick Marion. Raise your hands, guys. Thank you very much for all the hard work. You're a big part of the reason that this is successful.
Just keep that as close as you can.
Okay, Jonathan? I'd like to introduce Jonathan Gulliver, Highway Administrator, MassDOT.
All right, thank you, Barry. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm so happy to be here opening up this phase of the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail. And you know, it seems like I was just here yesterday for the groundbreaking. It was actually 3 years ago, 2015, that we started this. And, you know, I know that the Highway Division is known for doing some of these big interstate projects, the bridges, as are our contractor, SPS. They do a lot of this kind of work, as does GPI. But, you know, this is... it's these kinds of projects that we really have the connection back to the community that a lot of our staff really enjoy doing. And although we're known for those big projects, it really makes a difference to be here today and to be opening up this trail. And Barry already mentioned our area engineer Dave Baker and his team, who was a frequent visitor to this project and worked hard with Pat Marion and others to really make sure that this project went smoothly. And I can tell you, in my previous role as Highway Director in District 3, this was one of these projects that we would get feedback on a regular basis. That they and that's that's in really no small part to the commitment of the team involved on all end. And you know, you heard the Lieutenant Governor say that this was this project and others like this. It really takes the commitment of the administration, and they have really delivered. I think you just heard the statistics, you know, and we've been involved in more than 150 miles of trails across the Commonwealth in the last few years, and that's really a huge commitment from the administration to push that kind of focus onto trails and really show how important they are to the communities to which they're within, and also to within which they connect. And this particular project is special because of the combined vision and advocacy of residents, local officials, state legislators, the governor, lieutenant governor, and others. But, you know, I really want to point out that it takes an engaged advocacy community to get a project like this done. And as the lieutenant governor said, Bruce Freeman would be proud of the legacy of not only sharing his name with this particular trail, but with the advocacy group that really made this trail possible. So you should all be very, very proud of the work that you've done. There's a lot more work to do to get the rest of this trail in place, and it's an honor to be here today, and I really look forward to being involved in the future projects and next segments that are coming up on this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Is it true that you biked here from Boston today?
That's right.
It is. Our next speaker, Senator James Eldridge.
Thank you, Barry. Good afternoon, everyone. This is a tremendous turnout to celebrate the official opening of Phase 2A of the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail. And I want to thank everyone for being here. I want to give a special recognition and thank you to Lieutenant Governor Polito, Highway Administrator Jonathan Gulliver, and District 3 Director Barry Lorian for all of their commitment to making today be a reality. I know we were here just a couple years ago with Secretary Pollock to do the groundbreaking for this phase. And I just want to say that, you know, when I was first elected as a state representative, one of the first things that my predecessor, Pam Rezor, who did a tremendous amount of advocacy for this rail trail, said to me was, you need to go to the Boston MPO meetings every month and advocate for funding for rail trails throughout the district. And so that's what I did, often with Pam and other legislators from the area, including Corey Atkins. And all I would see at these MPO meetings at the front was Tom Michelman, Dick Williams, Emily Teller, many other members of the Friends of the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail. And as much as the legislative delegation, including Senator Barrett, Representative Benson, Representative Atkins, myself, have advocated, we have tremendous support from the Baker-Polito administration and previously the Patrick Murray administration. The Friends of the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail were just there every step of the way. If you ever received an email from Tom Michelman with the specific instructions about how to advocate for the tip, you know what I'm talking about. So I just want to thank all the stakeholders that are involved, including the Acton Board of Selectmen, Acton Town Manager Steve Ledoux, who is here up front. And when I think about this phase of the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail, connecting it to Westford, Chelmsford, and Lowell, it's about quality of life. It's about recreation. It's about economic development, especially for small businesses that are along the rail trail. And I'm excited to see some of the new businesses that I hope pop up along Route 2A in Acton. But it's also about just a general sense of communities coming together, obviously crossing town boundaries, connecting people in the way that many people have connected by being enthusiasts of recreation and rail trails in general. I have been advocating for this project since I was first elected, so over 16 years ago, and just really proud to see this day today. I was also in West Concord last night, and it's great to see the construction of the West Concord phase. And Lieutenant Governor Polito talked about the commitment of the Baker-Polito administration in the environmental bond bill for more funding for rail trails. And I hope you realize that Senator Barrett, myself, Representative Atkins have already secured in a previous bond bill money for the bridge over Route 2 to get to Concord. So it's been a real team effort. Again, a special thanks to the Friends of the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail, the businesses, town government, and all the advocates to make today a reality. I could not be prouder. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Senator. And Senator Barrett, we'd love to hear from you today.
Good to see you. Thank you. Well, I too am delighted to be here. In addition to all the other things we're celebrating, I have never seen Jamie Eldridge wearing pinstripes before. So, I am glad to be here for that occasion as well. I've also been invited because in addition to representing Chelmsford, Carlisle, Concord, and Sudbury. I am a living bit of history. I am proud to have served with Bruce Freeman, who was a fantastic, you might say that Bruce, in the service that he provided to Chelmsford, really presaged, foresaw everything that we're celebrating today. He was a human being who could reach across party lines. He was a gifted networker. He really made you feel special when you knew him. He was a big guy, a tall, good-looking guy, very affable, very determined, very shrewd, had a sense of vision, could, if anyone could foresee what we're celebrating today 20 years before it happened. So Bruce Freeman really embodied the kind of continuity that a project like this really requires. The amazing thing about government, and this unfortunately is sometimes a sad contrast with, well, with local efforts and often efforts in the private or nonprofit sector, is that there's always a threat of discontinuity. We've had 5 governors since this project began in the mid-1980s, and all 5 remained committed. This is both parties, Democrat and Republican. It takes that kind of a perseverance just to see a project of this kind through. Many times in other states, state governments simply, or the feds for that matter, fail to show that kind of continuity. It is extraordinary that we've managed to do it here, and it's primarily, I must say though, because of the advocates, the folks whom Jamie celebrated earlier, because the real continuity, despite 5 governors, despite legislators who came and went and have come again in some cases, despite that continuity or lack thereof, the real follow-through has been provided by the Friends of the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail and the citizen advocates. And the constructive criticism, and at times we have needed the critics to push back and force us to improve a plan. The constructive criticism has come from the advocacy community and the citizen community as well. So we politicians have done our part, but the bicycle enthusiasts have done even more. There's an aspect of this, finally, that I want to particularly note as well. My wife, who's with me today, gets on the Minuteman Rail Trail every morning near our house in Lexington and bicycles 9 miles down to the Alewife subway stop, the Red Line. So she makes that commute on a rail trail like this one in order to get to work. It is a form of recreation, but it's also a meaningful alternative to the automobile, right? I can tell you that there are plenty of jobs in Chelmsford to get to from here, and there are plenty of jobs in Framingham that we try to get to from here or from areas of my district in Concord and Carlisle, Sudbury. So this is not only a celebration of recreation and quality of life. This is a meaningful alternative that saves the planet and still gets us to our livelihoods. And for that, we should be particularly grateful and particularly thankful to the advocates and, well, you might say self-congratulatory a little bit. Massachusetts and Metro West is doing this the right way. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator. And we are happy to have Representative Corey Atkins come up and speak a little bit about our project today. Thank you, Representative.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. 20 years ago, when I was just a candidate running for this office, this whole park was in construction. And to see it today with everything grown up and how beautiful it is, and that the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail along and parallel to a lot of other projects in this district has been just the most wonderful journey. My staff always says, "Who's Tom Michaels?" And he just sends so many emails. I said, this is an absolute priority for this district. It's the advocates. You know, Bruce Freeman was a state representative, but he passed along. And Carol Clevin, whom nobody has mentioned so far, was in the House when I first got there, and a representative from Chelmsford, and this was her passion too. But it's the advocates that keep this going as government changes, as we all leave office and others come. So I can't thank you enough. If I collected all the emails that I got over the years, I could paper the rail trail from Framingham to Lowell. But that's how it gets done, folks, because in our world, the squeakiest wheel gets the attention. So I want to congratulate you. It's no small feat. But when I first contemplated running for office, the wisest words I heard was, you will never regret as a public official anything that you do to create more outdoor spaces for people. They long for them, they cherish them, they use them, and so will their children and their grandchildren after them. So congratulations on all of you today, because I know you all took part in this really important project. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Well, projects like this don't happen without our municipal partners. And here to speak today, the town manager from Acton, Stephen Ledoux. Thank you.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to NARA. Some of you may wonder what NARA stands for. Originally, it was North Acton Recreation Area, and then about 5 years ago, we found out that one of the first recipients of the Medal of Honor in the Civil War was Nathaniel Allen. So conveniently, the letters stayed the same. Had his name been Joe Schwartz, we would have had some serious issues and had to change signs all over the place. But the chair of the Board of Selectmen, Katie Green, deferred to me today for 3 reasons, really. 1, because I'm old. 2, because I'm retiring in 50 days. And 3, I've had the distinction of working and managing 3 communities along the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail, first in Sudbury, then in Westford, and now here. And back in my Sudbury's days is when the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail was in its, I mean, just a thought, really. It was just a concept, and you know, over these past 20-some years, it's really kind of cool to see a concept become a reality, and you know, we're really happy about that, and you know, there's so many people to thank. You know, the state's been wonderful, all our reps. Special thanks to our planning director Roland Bartle, who's been managing all the grants, et cetera, over the years. For the project, and you know, you can't say enough about the Friends of the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail. I was listening to some old vinyl records over the weekend, and from my youth back in the 70s, and I was listening to The Divine Miss M by Bette Midler, and one of her songs is "You Gotta Have Friends," and absolutely we have some friends with the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail. So it's a great day for everybody. Everybody should enjoy the weather, and thank everybody for coming. Take care.
Thank you very much, Stephen. We're also very happy to hear from Scott Hazelton today, Chairman of the Westford Board of Selectmen. Thank you.
Thanks. Since I think Westford is about 1/5 the length of Trail of Acton, I get 1/5 of Steve's time. Yeah. Actually, about 2.5 years ago, I was here as chairman then when we had the groundbreaking. It was another glorious day like this, a little bit warmer. Tomorrow is our town's Apple Blossom Festival, our highlight of the year. The forecast is rain. So in the future, Western Kiwanis will be looking forecast with the Friends of the Rail Trail to make sure we get things right. You know, one thing that hasn't been mentioned enough is the role of the CPC, the Community Preservation Committees, in funding this. In Westford, we were part of Phase 1 and Phase 2, and Emily was a great friend of the CPC for many years as a visitor, pushing for this money, and glad to see her still at it. And of course, we've had a lot of state money as well, but really want to thank the local officials who've put the money in to make this thing work. Westford is a town that's young, but growing, and growing in the area of public safety with more sidewalks, public recreation, with more fields, and this is a great addition to it. We can expand other offerings down the entire length of towns for all ages. You can take a stroller here, you can take a bike here. From 8 months to 80 years old, you can celebrate this rail trail. So it's a great recreation opportunity for us, and glad to have been part of it my CPC days, and still be with it as a selectman. So thank you.
Thank you very much. The president of the Friends, Tom Michelman. Did you want to say anything today?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. So first of all, I don't see enough hats out here, so I think Steve, on your retirement. There we go. Wait a second. Who doesn't have Scott? I don't know if you have a hat. There we go. Thank you. I think I know Corey, and I know you guys. I know you guys have a hat. I'm not going to give out duplicates here. So I've been accused of sending long emails. So what do you think I've got? I've got a long speech. I'm sorry. There's just so much to say. So.
Emails are space.
Thank you. Somehow, I only, this is just, if you're standing where I'm standing, I'm just flabbergasted. This is absolutely fantastic. I don't know if we ordered enough cake and ice cream, but we'll get there after my speech, so I'm not going to be that long. So, as you've heard, a project of this magnitude to get this done has many puzzle pieces to fit together and many, many people to make it happen. At the grassroots, it's all of you who've helped advocate for the trail, and it is the Friends of Bruce Freeman and our hardworking board and other volunteers that channels that energy and desire. And then it's the local elected officials and the town staff working with them, with MassDOT, that channels that enthusiasm to make the projects happen. And then we can look to our elected officials at the legislature and at the executive branch, because while all the pressure to push we apply from below is necessary condition, it is not sufficient condition without strong support of our state elected officials. Sorry, I should be looking up more, but I can't. The trail doesn't get built if they are not our champions, and sometimes what they do is hiding in plain sight, and sometimes I take that support for granted, but not today. So now I went back to all the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail newsletters. I didn't, by the way, write all of those as my primary source, and I'm going to highlight some of the help we've had. The very first time the Friends put out their twice annual newsletter was in the spring of 2005, and the first mention of elected officials occurred in the fall of the 2005 newsletter. Acton was working on legislation to limit brownfield liability. The legislation did pass and was a necessary condition for Acton and other communities to take on a rail trail project. And I'm sure the town was working with State Senator Pam Resor. Jamie, Corey, were you working on that as well? I am. Yep. Were you working on it?
I wasn't there.
Hello. Okay, Mike. Okay. Okay. So that's great. So in April, you might remember this, back in April 2007, the Friends took on a strategic campaign to educate the elected officials who represented the 8 cities and towns along the trail with a State House legislative briefing. And you might ask, what is that? That's basically a way to go educate legislators. The briefing was a great success and organized and hosted by State Senator Panagiotakis, no longer in the Senate, and State Representative Eldridge. So, and at our ribbon cutting in fall of 2009, this is a long rail trail, guys, but I'm getting through it. The Friends gave appreciation plaques to those from the state and federal elected officials supporting the trail. U.S. Representative Nikki Tsongas is a representative from Congresswoman Tsongas' office here today. Nope. Again, State Senators Eldridge, Panagiotakis, Susan Fargo, former State Senator Pam Resor, State Reps Jim Marciaro, Corey Atkins, Thomas Golden, David Nangle, and former Representatives Carol Clevin and Jeff Hall. Okay, so we're through phase 1. But we still had phase 2A to do right here. On October 22nd, 2009, a press release was released by a former administration that headlined transportation enhancement funding of $500,000 approved for the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail phase 2A final design. And who supported that? Representatives Arciero, Atkins, and newcomer Representative Benson, and Senator Eldridge. So we're going to go to 2010. I'm sorry, guys. It's going to get a little more interesting after this. In May 2010, Senator Eldridge called me to say that he had good news about the trail and asked if I could keep a secret. I said I could. He then informed me that he and other legislators had been working with the former administration and had secured design funding for phases 2A and 2C for the trail. And in order to keep the surprise, Jamie asked if we could get a few rail trail supporters together for the former Lieutenant Governor's announcement of design funding while not revealing any details. Now, who was there for that design announcement? It was behind Donnellan's, Gould's Plaza. Anybody here at that? Yeah, that was pretty cool. So that was over $900,000 of transportation enhancement funds. Other strong supporters noted in our newsletter at that point was Representative Atkins, Representative Benson, Highway Administrator Louisa Paiwanski, and a representative from Nikki Songa's office. Okay, so our state of elected officials have been tantamount in effectively supporting the rail trail. Senator Mike Barrett and Jamie Eldred are shown in our newsletter in 2014 at a Sudbury Board of Selectmen's meeting. Remember that? Yep, pushing Sudbury along, that's a tough road. I've met Representative Atkins at the townhouse in Concord to support the rail trail. So, and meeting there, and I got a call from Representative Benson one day asking me what was the best way to spend $250,000 that were burning a hole in the state's pocket to facilitate the trail. And of course, Senator Eldred seems to be everywhere, from coming to actual meetings of the Friends of the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail to speaking at the Boston MPO and the TIP funding. It's pretty awesome. So the Phase 2A is dominated by Acton, so it's no surprise that the electeds representing Acton are noted most frequently. But there are many, many friends at the State House, and sadly we just lost a great supporter, Representative Chris Walsh, who passed away on May 2nd. And Representative Walsh was, worked hard to push forward the trail at the southern end in Framingham. So I would be remiss to point out, it's already been pointed out, that the elected, while the elected Baker-Polito administration are relative newcomers to the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail support party, that's no fault of their own since they only first came into office in 2015. They've been, as you heard, there have been strong advocates for bicycle and pedestrians statewide. From the rail trail perspective, they have doubled down on pushing forward the Massachusetts Bicycle Transportation Plan, which promotes connections to the rail trails and safe street bicycling. For proof, just Google Baker-Polito Administration Trails Progress December 2017, and you'll see an impressive list of investments supported by this administration. So I think all these elected officials, and you just heard, either state or local, would say showing up at meetings and events and voicing support and writing letters and emails and comments makes a real difference. So I ask you all, who supports further expansion of the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail? Please raise your hands and your voices. Whoa! So are you ready to support the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail? Come on, let's hear it. Suckers. Well, as luck would have it, you have the chance over today and over the next week, you can comment on the Transportation Improvement Program, the TIP, which lays out the state transportation funding plans for the next 4 years and is how construction of the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail is funded. I won't bore you with the details now, but public comments on the federal fiscal year 2019 through 2023 draft TIP are due a week from today, May 18th. That means anybody getting cake and ice cream needs to comment on the TIP. Okay. So you do that, you go to the Boston MPO tip, find a link commenting on the website, you'll find it, enter supportive comments on phases 2A and 2D. We'll get something else on our website about that. Okay. There's one other way you can support the trail before I get to my last very personal note, which is we're going to do a trail count. It's the beginning of, I believe, Bicycle Week here in Massachusetts, and so there's trail counts all around the Commonwealth. And if you want to help with a trail count, which is basically sitting out with a clipboard for a couple hours and counting everybody that goes by, there's a sign up over by some registration table, the registration table. Okay, so one last personal note. About 15 or so years ago, while living in Acton, I was mocked by my young daughters, Julie and Valerie. With them in tow, on some errand, I would drive by Phase 2A right-of-way along Great Road and point out and exclaim that one day the proposed Bruce Freeman Rail Trail will be built just over there. Well, I did so one too many times. They got fed up and retorted, "We know, Dad, you've only told us 100 times. My youngest daughter, Val, upped the ante and pointed out to the Gould's Plaza parking lot where Donaldson's is and exclaimed, "Right over there is the proposed Bill Gates Memorial Beach." When I protested who was proposing the Bill Gates Memorial Beach, she countered, "She was. And it is just as real as your proposed rail trail," which sadly I had to admit was true. Today though, oh boy, I've been waiting at least 15 years for today. I can now point out that global warming is real, but there are no forecasts of beachfront property in Acton. I can further pile on that Bill Gates is still not dead. And best of all, while her idea is still proposed, nay, all of our Bruce Freeman Rail Trail is real. Thank you all for your efforts and letting me finally stick it to my children.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom, very much. That was great. Well, this concludes the formal process for our ceremony today. I want to thank everyone for coming out on this glorious, beautiful day and invite everyone for some cake and ice cream, graciously provided by the Friends over to my right over here. Thank you very much, everyone.
Nice job.